Welcome to Talk Travel with Heather Tate, North Mississippi's podcast for savvy travelers. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is a weekly podcast that airs every Monday on the Shark 102.3 FM radio station based in Ripley, Mississippi, and is then released as a podcast. Travel advisor and travel enthusiast Heather Tate of Whimsical Destinations gives listeners expert travel tips curated through the years of personal and professional experience. By clicking subscribe, you'll have a new travel tip to add to your collection delivered to your podcast library every Monday. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is brought to you by Sun Bear Studio. Sun Bear Studio is a boutique recording studio in the heart of Ripley, Mississippi. When you record with us at Sun Bear Studio, we can mix, master, register, and publish your music, your podcast, or your family story. Email us when you're ready at sunbear@jc.media.
This program was recorded at Sun Bear Studio in Ripley, Mississippi.
Good morning, Northeast Mississippi travelers. This is Heather with Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and I'm so excited to share my adventures and tried and true tips with you, whether you are also a seasoned traveler, a hopeful traveler, or currently an armchair traveler, meaning you're going to follow along with us from home for now. This is our 202nd episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate. And this week, we're going to talk all about the last frontier. That's right. This is going to be about Alaska, a bucket list cruise. Now, one of my goals is to visit all 50 states by the time I'm 50 years old. And if you've listened to this radio show and podcast for any length of time, you have probably heard me mention that. This year, I'm knocking out a big one. We're going to Hawaii for the first time ever. Next year, we have just booked another bucket list destination that sometimes people wait until closer to retirement or for retirement to visit. But I don't want to wait because I'm ready and excited to go now, and that is to Alaska. And not only am I not going to wait, but I want to try to convince you not to wait either, and maybe even join us, because I am inviting you to go along with us on our Alaskan cruise next May. That's right, May 2027. Now, maybe those dates don't work for you, and that's fine, because some of the information that I'm going to share today would apply for other trips. So if you wanted to go, in the future, later the same year, the summer. So we're going to talk about some things that, can be helpful for you regardless if you can go next May or not. But first, why have I been waiting? Why have I been all over the Caribbean and all throughout Europe without having gone to Alaska yet? Well, there's this simple reason, and that is I have been waiting for my boys to get older to where I could do any excursion with them that I wanted. I don't know if Alaska is going to be one of those places that we're going to go multiple times to. I have a feeling that it probably will, that I'll want to go back. Maybe a place that becomes my favorite and I want to go, very often and try different itineraries and different cruise lines, do a land and sea, so I can explore more of the interior. I don't know. But with that being said, Alaska is not known for being the most cost-effective of trips, right? So I wanted to go when I could do the excursions I wanted to do, and the boys were going to be old enough that they could do them and really appreciate them. So next summer, my boys are going to be 14 and 10 when we go in May. And so those are the ages that, I think are going to be really good for them to go. Now, everybody knows, what is best for their family. So you can go with kids who are younger than that. I know a lot of families. I have families on this cruise that are going when their kids are younger than mine. And it just depends on what you're wanting out of the cruise, right? Like what you're wanting to do. If it's something that's on your bucket list, your family's going, that makes a difference too. If you've got multiple sets of grandparents who are going, and that could be different, if it's going to be a multi-gen trip. So what started off as our 20th anniversary trip has now escalated to where we have a lot of people going with us. So not only did I decide to wait, for one, for my boys to get older, for two, it's a milestone anniversary for us. So next year will be 20 years. And so I wanted to do some really big trips, like some special things. And also, what made me decide to go ahead and book now is that I have clients who just got back from this exact cruise last month. And they went at the same cruise line, same ship, same itinerary. And every day that I saw their pictures and they were sending me pictures and videos, I thought, yep, this is when I'm excited, because I pick where I want to go next, really based on my excitement level, right? Like when there's a place that I can't stop thinking about, that I find myself researching more about, that I'm looking on Instagram, that I'm looking at reels, that I'm wanting to get books about and read things about, that's where I want to go. So where are the places that you find yourself thinking about over and over again? That's where you should go next. Right? I don't think that, if it's somewhere that you really want to go, that you should say, okay, I want to really, really go there one day. I'll go there in 20 years. Because honestly, we don't know what's going to happen the next 20 years. We don't know how our health is going to be in 20 years, our finances, the status of the location we're going, where, there's so many things that we cannot predict, right? So that is why I believe if it's somewhere you really want to go, make it happen now if you can. So seeing my clients' pictures and my boys' ages and our anniversary next year, it was just the perfect time. I decided, I was like, you know what? The pictures, our videos, they're phenomenal. Let me just look at the same exact cruise and itinerary that I've already worked with and planned on, because I have a lot of other guests who are traveling to Alaska this summer. I have several, and there are multiple cruise lines, and I have some epic ones that are going to be Holland America land and sea packages where they're going to Denali, and I have a variety of those versus some where they're flying into Alaska and doing a southbound or a northbound one way versus this one, which is round trip from Seattle. So looking at the pricing for this week that I picked for next year, which is May 21st to the 28th, 2027, the pricing was as low as I have seen it in years. Like, I have been a travel advisor for 10 years now, over 10 years, like going on 11 with Whimsical Destinations. And so I have clients that go to Alaska every summer. And the pricing is just as good now, if not better, than I've seen it since in 9 years. So why is Alaska so hot right now? And I mean hot as in it is popular. It seems like it is the destination that is on all the blogs, in the articles, like people are talking about it, people are wanting to go. Well, the Last Frontier is experiencing a tourism surge like never before. More cruise lines and ships are going, so supply and demand. As there's more availability, then that means the prices become a little more competitive. The growing desire for bucket list adventures. People are deciding now, why wait? Why don't we go now? Right? The value of experiences, the value of multi-gen travel. So it's not just, the grandparents going. The grandparents are now going, and they want their adult kids to go with them, and they want the grandkids to go with them. Also, increased flights. Alaskan Airlines recently, I believe, purchased Hawaiian Airlines. So they have more planes. And it's not just that. Other airlines are flying more planes into Seattle, into Alaska. My 14-year-old can tell you a lot more about the specifics on the increased flights, but I will just tell you there's more airlines going into Alaska to be able to put it in place for cruises than ever before. So let me tell you some details about the trip. We're going on Royal Caribbean's Voyager of the Seas, May 21st, the 28th, 2027, round trip from Seattle. Now, although I haven't been to Alaska personally, I have booked this exact cruise and planned this exact cruise, and I have been on this specific ship before. The very first time Logan and I went on a Mediterranean cruise when it was out of Barcelona, it was for our 3rd anniversary. We went to Spain, France, and Italy. It was my first time to go to Italy. I got to go to Rome, Florence, Pompeii, Sorrento. It was absolutely magical. It was on this ship. It was on the Voyager of the Sea. So I loved that ship then. And so I'm very excited about it. So it's not like a small ship, but it's not a mega ship. I think it's just right. So I would give it the medium size about 4,000 passengers, I think. So it's not like a mega ship where you're going to have 7,000 people on board. The ports, I really love the ports, and they're Juneau, which is the capital. Interestingly, it's the only capital in the U.S. that you cannot arrive to by car. Only boat or plane can you reach Juneau. Skagway, which is where the famous White Pass Railroad is. So the railway there, that's what sealed the deal for me in Skagway. I want to go all-day excursion. You're going through the mountains, snow-capped peaks, absolutely mesmerizing. I'm really excited about that, so I definitely want to go there. Sitka. If you've seen the movie The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds, then you already know, and Sandra Bullock, you already know Sitka, and you probably already fell in love with Sitka. So that was a must for me on my itinerary. And Victoria, British Columbia. I love Canada. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I love it in the summer. I spent an entire summer in Alberta, Canada, but I've never been to British Columbia, so I'm getting to add a new province and a new place. And I've heard great things about Victoria, and I know that I'm going to love it for the gardens and the accessibility right off the ship. You're there with restaurants, and it's going to be fantastic. Now, question, balcony or not to balcony? Well, for me, going to Alaska, a balcony was a must. And the pricing, like I said, fantastic. Now, it changes day by day. When we booked it, and this is why so many people joined us, we have, I think, to date, over 115 people going with us. So we have the biggest group I have ever had for any type of trip, whether Europe, the Caribbean, Disney, Universal. This is the biggest one. Until this, it was a destination wedding in St. Lucia, and our Alaskan cruise, we have more people. So that means there's a good chance you're going to know someone from Northeast Mississippi who is going on this cruise already. And so you may have already heard about it from Facebook. In our Facebook group, Heather and Logan Tate Whimsical Destinations, definitely check it out if you're not already a member of that group. But we also have people from 4 other states going. So we've got Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky, and Illinois. And we might have even more joining us. So as long as there's availability and you want to go with us, I am happy for you to go with us. But the pricing was so great. 2 adults for a balcony cabin was $3,000 for 7 nights. And like I said, round trip from Seattle. So your airfare is not included, just like it's not included on any cruise. You know, most of the time if you're going on a cruise, you know, out in New Orleans or Mobile or Florida, then you're like, well, you could drive if you wanted to, but your airfare is not included on those cruises either. Your transportation is on your own to get there. So we're flying from Nashville or Atlanta. They have nonstop flights. Of course, you can leave from Memphis or Birmingham or wherever you are closest to and have connections. But I love a nonstop flight, so it's worth it for me to drive a little bit further to get that. And plus, you normally get better pricing. So why May? Well, the pricing is phenomenal. You get what I feel like the real Alaskan experience where you're seeing the snow on the mountains. Fewer crowds, better pricing. A few weeks later, the exact same cruise goes up by thousands. So I'm like, you know what? If you have that flexibility in your schedule where you can go then, it's a great time to go. Now, I know that timing won't work for everyone. If you have a friend or family member who is graduating from high school, that's a bad week. It really is, because that's where a lot of our graduations are. If you're a teacher, it's probably a bad week. But if you're not limited then based on the school schedule, or if, you know, college, community college, you know, not graduating high school, then that week can still work in most cases. If you don't have kids and you're going just 2 adults, then that can also work. Weather-wise, it's looking at between 45 degrees to 58 degrees during the day. 15 to 17 hours of sunlight in May, so that's a good amount of sunlight, which is good for viewing wildlife, exploring the ports. Less rain in May. Like if you've seen pictures and videos of Alaskan cruises, you know that they're known to have a lot of rain. So it's supposed to be less rain in May than later in the summer. You still want to pack in layers. So what I'm seeing is, you know, with the unpredictable weather, you want to have layers and they're recommending 3 layers: base breathable layer, a fleece warm layer, and a waterproof outer wear layer. So then that way you're not getting the rest of your clothes wet, and you're prepared if it's a drizzle or it's mist. So waterproof walking and hiking shoes, compact binoculars. This is going to be fun because you're wanting to view wildlife. You've got whales, otters. Also, it may be too early for bears in a lot of places, but there's still a possibility to see some, especially in Sitka. There's an excursion where you have a really good chance of seeing bears. You also want to bring a dry bag. So, your phone and personal items that you do not want to get wet will not get wet. Polarized sunglasses, an eye mask if you need to sleep in the dark. I recommend having an eye mask. Of course, you're going to have curtains, but just to make sure you have the darkness. And that is why some other people, instead of choosing the balcony, I said to balcony or not to balcony. To me, having the balcony is a must because then you can go out anytime and be able to see, the shoreline, your porch you're going into, the mountains, possibly whales, right? Like I want that experience to be able to see it from my balcony. The pricing for an interior is much less. It's about half. So if you're like, well, I want to spend more on excursions, I'm not going to be in my room very often. We're going with friends and family. Some are going to get a balcony. Some are going to have an interior. We can go back and forth. Then that's another option. Ocean view is also an option. It's about in between, the pricing, with interior being the best and, balcony being the highest, ocean view being more or less almost the same as a balcony. So that's why we're like, well, we'll definitely do a balcony room. So that just gives you an idea of like what you would want, to be, prepared for what type of cabin. So most people are getting balconies, but you definitely don't have to. What if you're going for one person, not two? Well, we do have some guests that are planning on going solo, and you are paying double occupancy on this cruise, whether it's for one person or for two persons. So some then are deciding to go with a friend and they're splitting the cost. Others are then deciding, well, I'll do an interior cabin. It's half the price. So then that's splitting the cost and I'm spending the bulk of the money on my excursions. Okay, going back to packing. We talked about most things. This is less fancy, I feel like, than a Mediterranean cruise or even a Caribbean cruise. Like I go all out for my Caribbean cruises and my Mediterranean cruises where I have like a formal wear that I'm taking on a 7-night cruise. I'm going to be dialing it back on my formal wear on the Alaskan cruise. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to have, elegant pieces that I want to put together because I just like to do that. But it is going to be, I feel like, more functional and casual on the Alaskan cruise. I'm going to have pieces that are going to transition, I feel like, from day to night and have some accessories for that. Because again, layers, layers, layers. So definitely bringing that. We're going on our first ever river cruise this fall, and it's going to be out of Germany. So I think the weather is going to be very similar. And so I'm planning on using outfits for both. So I'm going to have some crossover. So when I get my new outfits that I'm planning for our cruise the romantic Danube, I'm also going to be thinking how they would work in Alaska. Okay, excursions, really quickly. What are some excursion options? Because that's the number one question I'm getting besides the particulars of the cruise itself. What are some types of excursions that you can book? From whale watching to the train rides with the snow-capped mountains, glaciers. You can even take a helicopter to the glacier and walk on the glacier, go dog sledding on the glacier, or you can go just to where they're training the dogs and go to like a dog sledding camp. That's what I'm very interested in doing. Waterfalls, kayaking. There's lots of options. Of course, there's shopping in the ports. There's famous restaurants there. You're going to have some amazing seafood, whether it's a salmon bake or lobster, crab. There's going to be lots of different options for some Alaskan seafood. But your excursions can be hiking and more strenuous, or they can be more leisurely and sightseeing. You can book directly through the cruise line, or there are some, trusted local Alaskan excursion companies that you can also book through. So lots of different options there. So that's just giving you a sampler. And I know that's specific to our cruise that we're looking at for Alaska, but that can apply to others as well, a lot of this information. So yes, it is definitely warmer. July and August are peak for cruises. They are. That's because it's going to be the warmest weather. Your May and September are your shoulder seasons, and then June, it's kind of like right there in the middle, right? Like it's not as warm as July or August, but it is warmer than May. So you just have to pick the month. It's really interesting if you type in like, what does Alaska like to cruise in May? What does Alaska like to cruise in June or July or August? The thing is, you can have gone to Alaska in July and then go in May, and it's like two completely different trips. So if you've been to Alaska before and you've been in the summer, then this would be like a whole new trip, and it may even be different. And a different itinerary, different ports than you went to the first time, because this one does not go to Glacier Bay. This one does not have a land and sea portion. The only land will be when you are on your excursions at the port. So you can go, more inland on those days, but you're back on the ship to leave that same day. We are going early to Seattle. So we plan on going a couple of days early. So I recommend definitely whatever cruise you're doing and you're flying, never fly in the day of if you can help it. You just never know with airlines, at least flying the day before. In this case, we're flying in 2 days before because we're also going to be exploring Seattle for the first time. So that's like a whole nother port because we've never been to Seattle. It's another state as well for us. So that is all the time we have for this week's episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate. As you can see, I am very excited about exploring the last frontier. And if you have been to Alaska and would love to share some insight with us, you're welcome to that on our Facebook group. Or if you've never been and you would love to go, we would love to have you with us. Whatever you're doing this week, remember, life is a great adventure. It's short. Take the trip. Make those memories count.
This show is made possible by JC Media, LLC in Ripley, Mississippi. JC Media owns the Shark 102.3 Classic Rock FM radio station where the show is hosted. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app or stream episodes online at shark1023.com/podcast. We also have an email in which you can share your feedback. That email is theshark1023@gmail.com.